Hey there, welcome. It's Ken Coscia here, the International Training Director for the Silva Method, as well as the creator and founder of the Trust Your Intuition Academy. Welcome all. Let me see who's signing in there. We're just getting ready. I'm still here in sunny California playing babysitter for my son and his wife's baby, our new grandson. Made a little business trip and a little side trip to say hello to the children. And let's see who's coming on. Hey, Ina. Good to see you again that you're on. Yeah, thank you for the thumbs up, Ina. Welcome. So guys, for the benefit of those who will be coming in, I gotta put my glasses back so I can say hello. Bisma. Thanks for signing in. Today's episode number 3 of Practical Intuition, how to awaken and focus your intuition for breakthrough living, which requires trust. And this is episode 3, and let's just review briefly. Episode 1, we explored the principles. We started with 12 focusing principles to help you awaken, focus, and trust your intuition. So we talked about the importance of relaxation through meditation, going for a walk, a nature walk, anything to take the pressure off, which allows inspiration. Second, we talked about the importance of vision, having a clear intention, what you want, why it's important to you, what motivates you, what is your interest. And third, be playful. The importance again of being relaxed and focused. And there's a big difference between logic, reasoning, analytical skills, which are certainly important, and intuition. And often when we have an intuitive experience, you've got to be playful. You've got to dare to be naive, as Buckminster Fuller once said, because it doesn't make sense logically. It's not irrational, but the intuitive process, intuitive insights, is not rational, and often we feel like we're making it up. So, relaxation. I recommend meditation, going for a nature walk, is a way to awaken, activate your intuition, have a clear vision, a purpose, the value of why you want to use your intuition and be more accurate. Be playful, because that leads to the next 2 that we talked about in episode number 2, practice and applications. It takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of applications to build trust, that muscle, to know the difference between wishful thinking and intuition you count on. Now, today, episode number 3, I am psyched, I'm so happy you're here. Let's see who else has joined us for that. It's kind of an odd day, so definitely please, if you find this of value, share it with your friends, let people know. I'd appreciate that. If you're enjoying it, that's it. Give me some hearts. That's great. Apparently that's it's almost like Periscope, isn't it? I have with me a very dear friend, a long-term friend, who also happens to be a Silva graduate, Silva Method graduate, whom I met in the Silva class. She's worked with me when she was living back in Connecticut for that. And she's just been such a shining example of using the tools that we teach in the Silva Life and Intuition System, what I now call the immersion experience. She's such a shining example of awakening intuition and using it as a guiding force in her life. The woman's name, I'm about to introduce you and building you up. She's an author. She is otherwise known as the midlife dating coach. And she's just a delightful person. And let me just say, before I introduce her, who else is here? Hey, Steve, baby. Steve, I'm not too far from you. I'm in San Jose visiting my son. Kathy, Adina. Hey, guys. Welcome. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up. I give you a thumbs up, too. You know, this is so cool. You know, I've been doing this work for 45 years. I'm definitely an old school guy, and I'm working on making it more relevant, because the best way to do any kind of inner work, the best way to develop and train your intuition, the best way to really do transformation, which is what I'm about for these 45 years, is live, when we're face to face, interacting, the synergy of a group. But we all know that's not always possible, and even when it is, we like support. So I developed this Trust Your Intuition Academy, And I'm now beginning to create online products, offers that you can take a look at, that you can use in the privacy of your home. And the first one is the lost sense, intuition in you. And this is a perfect topic for us today. Ray, hey Ray, haven't talked in a while. Gio, hi back to you, Gio. This is so cool. You know, we meet, our paths cross, and then we have Facebook to connect again. So good. I'm going to take off my glasses. Excuse my vanity with that. So, back to our guest today, Ronnie Joy. Ronnie Joy is otherwise known as the midlife dating crisis coach, Ronnie Joy is also an author, just completed a book that's just now available as an ebook, will soon be available. And I'm going to have to move this, excuse if it shakes a little bit, because we're doing this, I'm just getting used to it. Hey everybody, Ronnie, say hello to everybody.
Hello there.
And I'm going to lean in a little bit, and we'll have to do it this way. It's so good to see you.
I'm so thrilled that you asked me to do this, Ken.
Oh, my pleasure. We used to see each other all the time in Connecticut, and then she moved away here to sunny California, beautiful environment, and now we get to see each other when we come to visit our son, or when I'm getting to do a Silva class.
And
in
how
Northern
amazing
California.
is that? I mean, California is really big, and we're not so far away from one another, your son and myself.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, well, about half hour, something like that.
Yeah,
for that.
amazing.
But as the crow flies. And let me just move in a little bit. So guys, excuse any shaking. I'm just going to move this a little bit so we can see. So Ronnie, what I wanted to begin with is, I've mentioned to everybody what a shining example you are, and I know you to be so intuitive. And by the way, may I just say, guys, that everybody's intuitive. One of the things that I notice is there are a lot of people out there who are so highly intuitive, and they write books, and then whatever, the coach, and they have services, and that's great. I'm not really so impressed with that as much as the applications. So you and I, everybody on this planet, if you've got a brain, you have intuitive ability, it's a matter of training. So you got to have the skills, you have the right training, as Ronnie would tell, and you've got to practice and, you know, build that muscle, because sometimes we're fooled. And let me just, before Ronnie, I let her talk, Sandro, hey buddy. You know, here in the background, we're here in the small little backyard, and as life goes, a service truck has joined us. And that's okay.
This is live, and anything can happen.
So what I want to ask Ronnie is a very specific question. I mean, we could go on forever, and we want to honor your time, guys, and we want to be respectful of that and keep this a minimum, because both of us like to talk, and both of us have used the Silva Method and been working with intuition forever. However, one of the things you've heard me say is about flow state, when it seems like the universe has got your back. If you study in the Jungian sense, Carl Jung, the famous psychiatrist from Switzerland, he often talked about synchronicities. Modern day psychologists call them meaningful coincidences or significant growth experiences. When any two complementary forces come together in such a way that it seems like the universe is conspiring, helping you out. You know, you've done it. Come on, think. How many times have you put something out there? You've got a goal, right? And you're thinking to yourself, and then all of a sudden you have this whole comedy of coincidences. People come into your life, situations that help you to work on that goal, to fulfill your goal.
Exactly.
And Ronnie has been such a shining example of her life here. And I'm going to ask her to share a little bit about how in the world you came to write this book, which, by the way, I didn't know. I just found out recently. This is a new development. I know her to be doing some really cool work, helping people in their, I don't know, my midlife, would you say? I'm 65 in a week.
Your midlife,
Yeah,
sure.
Sort of, a little past midlife, you know, with that. But we'll say that. But could you just expand a little bit about, you were telling me before, just some of the highlights of some of the synchronicities in your own life that led to writing the book.
I'd be happy to, Ken. And may I say that the best thing that ever happened was for me in 1988 to take your class and to learn about the Silva techniques, because that was a game changer, that was a life changer for me. And now, since it's been a number of years, it's just in my bones. It's just part of who I am, part of how I live my life. Silva tools and the tools that you taught have become tools for living for me. and I don't think about it much. So now it's time for reflection a little bit, if you may indulge me in that, to really, really think back about how my life has been affected since I took the courses with you. So I honor you and I thank you for that. Okay, so synchronicity, intuition, where shall I start?
I would say synchronicities. With the book, you were telling me earlier about some of the experiences you had. You went to a program.
Yes.
You never thought about writing a book. It was put out there, but then you heard that little voice in your head. A little bit later, some things happened.
Exactly.
And
I was at a workshop, Ken, with a woman named Rebecca Hallgreiter. She's in California here. I was at this workshop. It was great, and Rebecca put it out to the audience, all of the people that were attending this workshop, that she was compiling an anthology, a book called Come Out of Hiding and Shine. She was having 30 or more authors, or co-authors, write this book. She wanted it to be motivational and inspirational. Stories about challenges or obstacles that have happened in one's life that turned into a positive, some type of uplifting story that we could tell. Well, when I heard this, Ken, you're right. I first thought, okay, that sounds good. And so there's only, I have some authors. I just need a couple more. Just come here. Here's a sign-up sheet. And I didn't think much about it. I wasn't going to do it. And then I did hear a small, still voice that said, Ronnie, you need to do this. And when I hear that voice, the intuitive voice, whether it comes audio or visual, I pay attention. Sometimes when it's 3 times I hear something or know something, then I think, okay, somebody's trying to tell me something here. But this was immediate. This was after the sign-up sheets, but then I heard it. You need to do this. So I went and at a break, and I said to Rebecca, I'd like to do this. Is there room? She actually looked at the sheet. She goes, no, but I'll put you on a waiting list. Well, the bottom line is I did get on. I was able to write this chapter. And at the time when I signed up, I didn't even know what it was going to be about. I mean that sincerely. And then I was guided to what my chapter was going to be about.
So let me ask you, though, when you had this still voice, did you also have a feeling kinesthetically, like it just felt right? I asked that question because part of the language of intuition is when you have an insight or an idea, maybe an innovation, you're building a business or something you want to say to someone, or like in your coaching practice, that often we have this inner debate. I don't know, why me? Could I do that? But I find in my own life that when it's accompanied with the feeling of, yes, this feels right, and I get enthused or excited, that's usually, not always, I would say usually an indicator that you're moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
Was that your experience?
Absolutely. And as I said, because it's so much in my bones, and I've been doing this since 1988, I trust my intuition. There was a time in my life when I was doubtful about a lot of things. I just wasn't sure which direction to take. I didn't have the tools to even know how to even tap into my intuition. Now it's when I hear something, when I know something, when I feel something, whatever that sign is, I just feel it and I know it. And you talked about building up muscles. I think that's what's happened in my life. Those muscles have been built up so strongly, and I have such experience to look back, okay, when I pay attention and I trust my intuition, the universe conspires with me. The universe, if I have that goal, or if I'm trusting intuition, something good comes from it. That's my experience.
Let me add something too. Let me just say hello. Marek, hey Marek, Justina. Howdy. Just wanted to say hello and acknowledge. I am so happy you're here. I'm so happy. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the thumbs up. This is Ken Coscia, the International Training Director for the Silva Method, speaking with Ronnie Joy, the midlife dating coach who's also just authored a book. And we're exploring practical intuition, how to activate it. And here's a takeaway that Ronnie, you listen to what she's just saying here. She's saying 1988, she's been working with this. She's had a lot of training. She's been practicing, exercising. And frankly, that's what it takes, because how do you know? You can trust the feeling. Everybody hears this voice. Everyone has wishful thinking. Everybody likes to win the lottery. Everybody, I don't know if everybody liked to write a book, but I mean, who wouldn't want to be a best-selling author? I mean, I can remember just me in this Trust Your Intuition Academy, one of the first programs, The Lost Sense. In the Silva program, remember, I've been doing this 45 years. And the year is 1986. And one of the things, Ronnie, you may remember, there's something we do called caseworking.
Yes.
It's actually, I now understand it to be what they call, some call Anders Ericsson deliberate practice, where you're actually given, I don't want to call it a test, but an exercise, a game, where you enter your dynamic meditative state, your alpha state, and you're given the name of somebody you've never met before in your life, and you're asked to imagine them, to visualize or think of them, and come up with specifics about the person. And then you get immediate feedback. It's a knock your socks off exercise, and we do it once, twice, maybe 10 times. Ronnie is quite phenomenal at doing that. I remember that. And part of, though, I just add this, and I'm going to let her jump in, is what I noticed was, Ronnie, is, and she used to work with me, she was on my staff in Connecticut, is that people were amazed, they were floored. It was like, oh my God, I never thought I could be so intuitive.
Exactly.
But then they were, to be fully transparent, spooked. It's like, well, what do I do with it? And God only knows. I think people went a little bit into fear. So what happened in the year 86, I had an idea. I said, we've got to help people be more practical. We've got to help people recognize how valuable this is, their intuition, to use it to make better decisions, wiser decisions, to have more synchronicities, to be in this flow. So I started working on exercise. I started working on a project, if you will, and I started developing these meditations and things other than what we do in the Silva class. And I called up Jose Silva himself. He was my friend, my mentor, and his brother Juan, and at the time Ana Martinez. And the funny thing was, when I called them up with my idea, I said, I have this idea for a workshop. They looked, well, actually on the phone they looked, because we didn't have video then.
Right.
And they said, we just had a meeting just this morning about this topic, and we're concerned. They were expressing some of the same things I was now elaborating on, and here I was with an idea. So needless to say, the rest is history, and jumped on and have traveled the world with this. Well, this person, I've watched her in her life, where she's talking about, this is a takeaway. She said, I've had so many experiences with my intuition. That's how you build the trust muscle.
Exactly.
That's how you strengthen it, because then you can discern the difference. When I've been off and when I've been accurate, how the heck do I know the difference? And that takes practice, which we talked about in episode number 2.
Yes, it does.
Is there some tips that you could give them, maybe as you relate in your own story, your health, or in your anything?
You said something, Ken, that made me go way back to when I first took the Silva Method at that time, what it was called. And I don't know if you recall this, Ken, but I certainly do. When it came time for casework, as you were just calling it, you had this way of explaining what we were going to be doing, and then we would go into our meditative state, and then we would do it. Well, when you explained about caseworking and what we were going to do, I thought, I can't do this. I was scared to pieces. I was ready to bolt, but I didn't. I stayed, and I was scared, and I thought, it's not going to happen for me, but it did. It amazed me. It amazed me that I got these intuitive hits about a person that I didn't even know. And you may not remember this, Ken, but I said to you afterwards, I was ready to bolt, and you said to me, but you didn't, and good for you. And it's been a process. It's, if I can do that, what more can I do? It gave me hope that, if I'm scared about myself or don't have trust in myself, that whole program gave me a lot of feeling of trust, and I can do this.
Wow. Hey guys, listen close. A few takeaways again. She's mentioning that. One was, it's very common when we're challenged. There's a lot of talk these days about the importance of changing limiting beliefs, because our thoughts are the catalyst to our feelings, emotions, and those emotions, again, we covered this in episode 1, will cause the brain to produce neuropeptides, which will the chemical messengers of the body, which affect your physiology and will affect your performance, your choices you make, your thinking, your cognitive thinking skills, the whole gamut. So if you want to excel or be masterful in anything, you've got to cultivate creative, hopeful, positive thinking. Now that doesn't mean ignore problems. It just means even having the confidence, hey, maybe in 100 years I can figure this out, but somehow, some way I can figure this out. So notice what Ronnie said. This is a challenge, although it's a game, we make light of it in the class.
Right.
Most people say, is this guy for real? Can I do that? Do I want to do it? And when that happens, we go into fear temporarily. And if we're not mindful of that, it takes over. And the tendency is to want to bolt, to run away, toss in the towel, and then nothing happens.
Exactly.
And it becomes a repetitive pattern in your life. And one of the things I so appreciate about what Ronnie just said is that she stood there. She didn't bolt. She wanted to run. She was nervous. You could see her breathing. I can still see it. And I see it all the time with people. But we help you to get through it, by the way. And as you do, it's like all of a sudden you're saying, here's the other takeaway, hope. If I can do that. So she has a resource state. She has evidence. She has had an experience that she can say, I did it. And if I did that, sleeping better at night, taking off a few pounds, it's like child's play, or improving a relationship, etc. That's what changing limiting beliefs does for you. But you got to challenge it. I don't want to just say suck it up, but yeah, you do have to kind of suck it up, or at least follow through, or be guided, or be coached, which is just two really important takeaways there. Let me just pause for a second, acknowledge a few other people here. Jose, hey, Jose, hola, and Maria, and Wanda. Wanda, another Connecticut Silva grad. Hey, Wanda, I'm in California. This is Ken here, Ken Coscia. This is so cool. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing, guys. Thanks for your hearts. Give me some thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear us loud and clear and you're with us. I'm speaking here with Ronnie Joy, the midlife dating coach. You'll find her on Facebook. She just authored a book. And we're talking about her synchronicities. Your synchronicities. We've all had these meaningful coincidences in our life. And I think Ronnie would say, I have a lot of admiration for you, Ronnie, and a lot of respect because, her life hasn't been all wine and roses. I've used that expression before. It hasn't been easy. Life sometimes is a struggle. It can be. But when we have the right tools and we have the right training,
Absolutely.
and what I admire about you is she's continuously learning, reading, asking for help. She's got her own coach. She's a student. She participates in seminars. It just goes on the list, and when you do things like that, it does give you hope. It at least gives you a framework, a structure.
Exactly.
And it's what I appreciate about
And
your
Ken,
work.
when you're talking about limiting beliefs, it makes me think way back when I learned not only about the casework, but about mental housekeeping, cleaning, mental
House cleaning.
mental house cleaning. So when we have these limiting beliefs and we hear those certain things that we always say to ourselves, it's like, wait a minute, cancel, or is this true? Is this true? And change that, what some people say stinking thinking, to something positive so that we can have that end goal in mind and think of it positively.
Exactly. And when you have evidence to support that, it's a lot easier to challenge the worry, to challenge the doubt. So guys, I want to remind you that in future episodes, we're going to talk more about these focusing principles. I want to remind you about one of the important things is play with it. Make it a game. Apply your intuition in simple ways. It could be choosing a movie. It could be one of the things I like to do when I go to a restaurant. In fact, we've gone out to eat with her and her husband, Jack, and Barbara, my wife, and we'll go out together and share a meal, is I used to take forever to pick. I don't like, menus that have like 5 pages or more. And now I just look, I follow my first impression, and something sort of jumps up at me. And I have to say, I don't know if it's accurate to say every time, but most times the meal's been delicious. I've loved it, even if I've never had it before. Rather than spending 10 minutes studying the menu, just following that. So when you do something like that and it works, when you agree, that becomes evidence. You can say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, I've had experiences like this. I know I can trust it.
It's growing those trust muscles. It's following your gut. It's another way of saying following your gut.
Is there anything you want to say about, I'm so impressed with a lot of what you're doing in your coaching practice. And is there anything more that you can add, or like maybe an experience you've had with either a client or with writing the book or in your personal life before we close?
Sure. As far as synchronicity, if I may, when you talked about synchronicity, I looked back on my life and I thought I can fingers and toes and then some. I could write a book on synchronicity, it seems. But as far as getting back to the co-authoring this book, it came at a time that I didn't expect to be writing the chapter that I did. This book is called Come Out of Hiding and Shine. And again, I'm a co-author, and my chapter is called Breakdown to Breakthrough. And I followed my intuition of what had to be written. It's about a childhood discovery that I made in my adult life. That and how I came to terms with it, how I turned it around to support me and help me, and to give hope to other people, because that's what this book is about, to be inspiring and to give hope. But what ended up happening, and I'll keep this brief, but it's pretty long, even though this is very synchronistic. At the heels of writing this chapter, and it was pretty cathartic to have written this chapter, and I felt like this was a new growth opportunity for me. 6 days after writing the final chapter of this book, of my chapter that is, I received a diagnosis that I had breast cancer. And as you can imagine, this can just put you into a tailspin, like, what? And I'm telling you, Ken, if I didn't have all the tools that I had, I just don't know. But because I live this, I just follow my intuition, do what I need to do, and get help from the other side, as Jose would say. And had surgery 2 weeks after having the diagnosis. The synchronistic part is, well, it's all of it and everything that led up to it. I was in the process of changing from one insurance company to another, and another health system. And when I found out that I had to have surgery, I had the surgery, but I was told by the surgeon that there'd be surgery, there'd be radiation, there would be a cancer drug that I would need to take. There were no options, and that's what I was told. And I kept the future on a short leash, and I thought, I'm going to tackle each thing one at a time. Okay, I'm going to get through the surgery. And I totally used my Silva techniques. I went in relaxed. It's hard to believe, but I did. I saw the end result. And that being said, I then went into the new health system that I was going to go into, and I had to have a whole new team of doctors. And at that point, I was given options. I was given options that, for whatever reason, statistically, maybe it wouldn't be such a good idea to have the radiation. Maybe it wouldn't be such a good idea to have that cancer drug, because of the chances of non-recurrence of this particular type of cancer is really good without having to have the radiation or the drug. And I weighed all the options. But what I'm trying to get at here is, Ken, the synchronistic events of, if this had to be, I caught this really early because of the insurance changing. I went to have a mammogram earlier than I was supposed to. So because of all these different events that happened on the heels of writing this chapter and kind of expanding my heart, this all happened, and everything seemed really quick. But I handled it each step of the way, and I was given options, and I made a decision, and I feel really strong about the decision. And yes, I'm a midlife dating coach, and I love what I do. I help midlife singles get back into the dating world after years of a relationship that just didn't work out, or you had a marriage that ended after many, many years, and you're just not sure how to get back into the dating world again. And that's my story too. But that being said, what I found over time was, and this was just a couple of months ago actually, that I had the surgery, intuition came in again saying, you know what, Ronnie, you have something here. There are women that you can help. You've gone through this. And you know, because of a cancer support community that I'm part of, I know that there are single women that would like to have a relationship again. And they've had breast cancer surgery and treatment. And that's daunting. That's daunting, Ken. And I know that because of the surgery, my heart is open. It's a deepening of my compassion and my empathy, that this is a new direction that I've decided to take, that I do want to help women get back into the dating world that have had breast cancer surgery or breast cancer diagnosis. And myself, I know plenty of people besides me that have had this, and I would imagine that your viewers here know someone that their lives have been touched by as well. And that's my new mission. That's a very long way of talking about synchronicity.
Well, what I want to add that, if I remember correctly, Ronnie, with your story, is just to backpedal a bit to the beginning. There was no visible sign.
Oh, right.
You were feeling great.
Yes.
Looking great. There was no lumps. There was no visible sign. There were no indicators at all.
Mm-hmm.
And because of a series of coincidences,
Exactly.
it led you to go to a physician and have a checkup, and you weren't scheduled for the checkup.
Exactly.
It wasn't coming up, but for whatever the reason, and it's a good thing you did. That, to me, is being in the flow state. When the universe seems to conspire, because
Exactly.
it wasn't your regular schedule, it wasn't on, you weren't feeling bad, it wasn't like, oh gee, I better check something. And thank God you did listen. And thank God, because of your intuition, that you did.
Exactly.
Well, thank whoever, thank the universe.
Thank God, thank the universe, thank spirit, thank guidance.
And then you told me, even with some of the choices with the physicians, interesting enough, you were forced into changing to a new insurance system.
Right.
Welcome to USA 2016. But because of that, you went into a whole different medical community that helped you, because you weren't getting the answers and it wasn't working and not feeling right. I mean, we could go on, folks, and forgive us both, but she was telling me a lot before the story, and it's lengthy. But the message really is that you got to trust your gut. You got to trust yourself. And when that inner voice starts screaming, and you have evidence from past experience where you can turn around and say, you know, I've had this before, and I know that I can trust it. And this is why I really just, I want to thank you, because this is not an easy topic for you, I know. And
I
personally,
appreciate it.
I find it scary, myself too. And I know that for a lot of women who have ever had to deal with this, we had a small scale like that too, but nothing like yourself. It's like, whew. And I'm just so happy that, it's all worked out, and she's doing great, and everything's fine, and full recovery with that. So really, that's part of why I do this. And I asked Ronnie if I could interview her. We're visiting, and this is personal time. We're friends, and she's, we're visiting. But I just thought we wanted to share some of this, because it's so important, guys. Logic, reasoning, our intellect is important, as we know. And we've also got a gut. We've also got intuition. We've also got that inner sense guiding us. You just got to pay attention. So I hope you find this helpful. And I'm going to just say, Bonnie, before we're going to say so, Mike Ronaldo, hey, Mike and Mary, you're back. And Barbara, hi, honey. I'm so glad you're joining us. And guys, thank you so much for your shares, guys. Thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you so much for your thumbs up. And for those of you who may just be joining us, I think I know most people who have joined us at this point, but for your friends who you share this with, this is Ronnie Joy, the midlife dating coach, also author. Want to tell the name of the book again?
Yes, it's Come Out of Hiding and Shine. And I'll say this, Ken.
And how can they find it?
I'll let you know, but I want to say thank you to you. And I really consider myself a private person. And telling this story today, it's showing how I'm coming out of hiding and shining to help other people, to really help other people. So the name of the book is Come Out of Hiding and Shine. My chapter is Breakdown to Breakthrough. And you can get it, right now it's in ebook form, and the end of November, beginning of December, it'll be in physical form. You can find it on Amazon.com. If you go to this site, Amazon.com/author/Ronnie Joy Krasner, that's RonnieJoyKrasner, you can find the book that way. And if you, or anyone that you know, really would like to get back into the dating world and has had a breast cancer diagnosis or cancer or a serious illness, and are willing and wanting to come out of hiding and shine and get the partner that they desire, I so can help. And thank you, Ken.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Let me just say hello to a few other people. And guys, this is great. I'm so glad you're here. Again, this is Ken Coscia, getting ready to sign off, and I'm just so happy you're here and look forward for more. I'm going to work on doing this on a weekly basis. And let's see, somebody else want to say hi to? Hey, Silva Method, DC, Deanna, Richard, and my friends in the DC area. And you know, one day I hope to meet you in a live training. I love this work. I feel so blessed and fortunate for people like you. You are what keeps me going. People ask, 45 years doing the same thing. Well, I get to travel the world. I just came back from Lithuania and Poland, and it's just so cool and blessed, because to be able to facilitate transformation, you know, there's too much suffering out there, and I think a lot of it's needless, and we're struggling because we have choices. We have choices, and with the right tools and with the right training, whatever it is that you do something, get help, because it's up to you, it's up to me to take command of our lives from the inside. So until the next time, I'm going to say so long for now. And Ronnie, thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much.
And I think the baby is up, and it's time for me to do my job as grandpa.
There you go.